Christine Brennan just exposed a shocking truth that the WNBA desperately wanted to keep under wraps. In her latest bombshell, she reveals what really went down between Dai Carrington and the reporters after that infamous eye poke incident with Caitlin Clark. The WNBA is scrambling to contain the fallout, but is this the end of Carrington's career, or just another social media storm? It all started last season during the high-stakes WNBA playoffs, when Dai Carrington of the Connecticut Sun made a move that would ignite a firestorm. During a crucial game in what many fans saw as a moment of intense defense, Carrington's hand collided with Caitlin Clark's eye in a way that seemed far from accidental.
Harassed by Carrington, finds Boston. Clark gets hit in the face by Carrington and is down.
The moment was immediately labeled as one of the most controversial plays of the season, with a sea of opinions flooding social media. Was it just an unfortunate play, or was it a deliberate act of targeting? Fans, analysts, and players alike were left divided, but one thing was certain: this incident was far from over. Carrington quickly defended herself, claiming that it was purely accidental. "I didn't even know I hit her," she insisted. "I was just trying to make a play on the ball." But as the replay showed, her movements suggested otherwise, leading many to believe that the hit was intentional. This sparked a massive debate. Was it an honest mistake or an act of aggression disguised as defense? The debate raged on, but what really set things in motion was the aftermath, a fallout that would reveal more than anyone expected.
Dijonai, did you, when you went and kind of swatted at Caitlin, did you intend to hit her in the eye? And if so, could you just, or if not, either way, could you talk about what happened on that play?
I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me. But no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her. So obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am. So yeah.
Did you and Marina kind of laugh about it afterwards? It looked like there was later on in the game they caught you guys laughing about it.
No, I just told you I didn't even know I hit her. So I can't laugh about something I didn't know happened.
But that wasn't the end of the story. The real drama didn't just play out on the court. It was what happened behind the scenes that would leave the WNBA scrambling for damage control. What happened after the incident would change everything, and it starts with Christine Brennan's shocking revelations. While the eye poke incident was already sending shockwaves through the WNBA, it was the behind-the-scenes drama that truly exposed the deeper issues plaguing the league. According to Christine Brennan's bombshell account, things took a turn for the worse after the game, when Dai Carrington confronted journalists in a blatant act of intimidation. Instead of handling the situation with professionalism, Carrington allegedly approached reporters in what should have been a neutral media space and began to accuse them of misrepresenting her teammate Nelissa Smith. Reports say she was not just upset about the criticism, but seemed intent on silencing those who dared to speak about it. She reportedly stormed into a catering area, demanding to know why the journalists were talking about Smith's performance, accusing them of unfairly labeling her as a bad teammate.
We got an altercation between Brennon and Dijonai Carrington. It doesn't even have to do with the eye gouge, which we know Dijonai flipped her wig off over at Christine Brennan, but we got a confrontation. Dijonai Carrington went after Christine Brennan because she thought she was talking trash about her Nelissa Smith.
Now let's pause here. Think about this. A professional athlete, upset by media coverage, decides to confront the reporters, not in a discussion of basketball analysis, but in an attempt to control the narrative and shut down any form of critique. It's not just unprofessional, it's a blatant abuse of power, one that raises serious questions about how the WNBA handles such behavior. This wasn't just a simple disagreement over a few words, it was a full-on attempt to intimidate the media into silence. Carrington's actions show a dangerous precedent in the world of sports journalism, where players who should know better feel empowered to confront the press and dictate what's said. Unfortunately for Carrington, this wasn't something that could be swept under the rug, especially when it was being reported by a respected journalist like Brennon. Carrington may have thought she was defending her teammate, but instead she was digging herself deeper into controversy, making it clear that her response to criticism was neither mature nor professional. And as for the WNBA, their silence spoke volumes. The league's inability to act on this only further fueled the fire.
This is the post, and said, on behalf of the 144, in a week that was dedicated to celebrating, amplifying, whatever, for their hard work, exceptional performances, we're not going to distract from their success. They distracted from the success because, by the way, they ignored all of those players because they wanted to. And to unprofessional media members like Christine Brennan, you're not fooling anyone. The so-called interview in the name of journalism and blatant attempt to bait a professional athlete into participating in narratives false and designed to fuel racist, homophobic and misogynistic vitriol on social media.
As if the confrontation with journalists wasn't enough, Dai Carrington's response to the growing controversy took a dramatic turn when she took to social media. Rather than addressing the situation with maturity, Carrington turned to Twitter to express her frustration, using emojis and vague threats about defamation to try and discredit the journalists reporting the story. Her posts were filled with anger and deflection as she fired back at the accusations by trying to paint herself as the victim in the situation. She tweeted laughing emojis and threw around words like defamation, but what she didn't realize was that this only escalated the drama. Instead of taking a professional approach and addressing the issue head-on, Carrington's social media antics only made her look more juvenile, creating a spectacle that overshadowed the real issue.
Because that's real professional in a league, in a professional league, to have a confrontation with a journalist because you got a personal relationship with a player. You see the issue there, folks?
But here's the thing. Defamation isn't as simple as just tossing out accusations. In order for a defamation case to stand, there needs to be proof of false statements made with malicious intent. And it's hard to argue that against a journalist like Christine Brennan, who has built a reputation on solid, well-documented reporting. Carrington's empty threats not only backfired, but they also exposed her lack of understanding about both journalism and legal standards. It's clear that Carrington's social media behavior didn't help her case. Instead of squashing the drama, it sparked even more attention, leaving the league to deal with yet another mess of their own making. As the firestorm grew, the WNBA remained silent, hoping it would blow over, but silence speaks volumes, and it was starting to look like the WNBA had no idea how to handle this growing crisis.
Caitlin Clark is way more important to the WNBA than Tiger Woods was to men's golf, even though he was huge. And to then see this negativity, like why? And what should have been done? I looked seriously at the leadership of the WNBA. And how could you not be prepared for this moment? You've seen it happening in the Big Ten. You've seen it in Iowa. You see these TV ratings.
While Dai Carrington was stirring the pot on social media, the WNBA's response, or lack thereof, was just as telling. The league, known for its track record of handling player misconduct with an almost alarming sense of indifference, decided to stay silent. No public statements, no investigations, just radio silence as their already fragile reputation continued to crumble under the weight of another controversy. This is the WNBA's go-to move. Pretend the issue doesn't exist and hope that it goes away. The eye poke incident, which was the original spark for this firestorm, was similarly brushed aside. The league hoped that by not addressing the situation, people would eventually forget about it. But that tactic only works for so long, especially in today's world of social media, where every controversy is amplified and kept in the public eye. The WNBA's response, or rather the lack of one, demonstrates how deeply rooted this culture of silence and avoidance has become. Instead of stepping up and taking responsibility for the actions of its players, the league is hoping the storm will pass. But as the revelations continue to unfold, it's becoming clear that the league can no longer afford to ignore the bigger issues at play. The fallout from Dai Carrington's actions and the WNBA's lack of accountability is starting to have a broader impact, one that could change the future of the league. Fans who are already divided over the eye poke incident are becoming increasingly frustrated with the league's failure to address the ongoing misconduct. Social media is buzzing with comments supporting Christine Brennan's reporting, while the league's defenders seem to be growing quieter by the day. The public's patience is running out, and the WNBA is starting to realize that ignoring these issues only makes them worse. What's more troubling is the way Carrington's actions have affected the league's relationship with sponsors and media partners. For years, women's professional sports, especially the WNBA, have struggled to build credibility and grow their audience. The league has worked tirelessly to expand its reach, but incidents like these, paired with the WNBA's reluctance to take action, are putting all that progress in jeopardy. Sponsors are watching closely, and many are not keen to associate their brand with a league that can't even handle basic professionalism and player conduct. Broadcast partners too are affected. The WNBA may be enjoying increased viewership thanks to rising stars like Caitlin Clark, but controversies like this one risk overshadowing that momentum. When networks are investing in a product, they want to be sure it will perform well, not just on the court, but off it as well. Seeing a league embroiled in drama and player misconduct does nothing to inspire confidence. The backlash from the public, combined with the WNBA's reluctance to take firm action, could scare away the very partners the league needs to secure its future. In the long run, the league's inability to address these issues directly could undermine all the hard work that has gone into promoting women's basketball. The WNBA could lose its chance to become a truly respected professional league if it continues down this path of evasion. The question is, how much longer will they let this slide before the damage becomes irreversible? The issue at hand with Dai Carrington and the WNBA isn't just about one player's misconduct. It's part of a much larger conversation about accountability, professionalism, and how the league treats its players and media. Carrington's behaviour, whether in confrontation with journalists or her social media outbursts, reveals a deeper cultural problem within the WNBA, one that, if left unchecked, could affect the future of the sport itself. When athletes think they can manipulate narratives or silence critics with intimidation, it sets a dangerous precedent. In any professional league, the players must understand that criticism, especially in the form of media coverage, is a natural part of the job. It's how they respond to that criticism that defines their professionalism. In this case, Carrington's defensive stance and refusal to acknowledge any wrongdoing only further highlights her insecurity and inability to handle the pressure that comes with being in the spotlight. And sadly, this behaviour isn't isolated. It's part of a broader trend within the WNBA. While Carrington's actions are certainly at the forefront right now, this situation underscores a more troubling issue: the league's failure to instill the value of accountability. In many other professional sports leagues, such behaviour would result in swift consequences: disciplinary actions, fines, public apologies, and sometimes even suspensions. But in the WNBA, this kind of misconduct is often brushed aside, as we've seen with previous controversies. Until the league takes a hard stance on player conduct, it will continue to struggle with its image and lose respect from both fans and media alike. The lack of leadership and accountability isn't just affecting the league's reputation, it's impacting the players themselves. Professionalism goes beyond the court. It encompasses how athletes handle themselves in the public eye, how they interact with the media, and how they deal with criticism. When a league fails to reinforce these values, it risks cultivating an environment where players feel they are above reproach, and the damage caused by this kind of entitlement is far-reaching. As much as this controversy highlights the WNBA's shortcomings, it also presents an opportunity for growth. The league has the chance to redefine its culture, one where accountability, respect for the media, and professional behaviour are non-negotiable. This could be a turning point for women's sports, where a league steps up and sets a standard for how its athletes should behave, not just on the court, but off it as well. Dai Carrington's behaviour and the WNBA's failure to address it don't just affect her own reputation. They have serious implications for the entire league, particularly when it comes to team dynamics and future growth. First, let's talk about team dynamics. In professional sports, it's not just about what happens on the court, it's about the culture within the locker room, the relationship between teammates, and the way players carry themselves off the court. When a player like Carrington engages in controversial behaviour, it disrupts that balance. For the Connecticut Sun, the coaching staff and players are now forced to deal with constant media attention and distractions, instead of focusing on what should be their primary goal, winning games. It puts unnecessary pressure on the entire team, creating a divide that affects performance, morale, and chemistry. On a broader scale, this type of drama distracts from the WNBA's larger goals, increasing its fan base, attracting more sponsors, and building a reputation as a respected, competitive league. The league is already fighting an uphill battle to be taken seriously on the global stage, and issues like Carrington's unprofessionalism only work against those efforts. Instead of focusing on promoting the talent, the excitement, and the athleticism of the game, the WNBA is caught up in managing yet another off-court scandal. The league should be capitalizing on its increased viewership, particularly with emerging stars like Caitlin Clark, but instead it finds itself mired in unnecessary controversy. As the WNBA faces yet another public relations disaster, the question on everyone's mind is simple: can the league recover from this? The revelations about Dai Carrington's behaviour, combined with the WNBA's repeated failure to address misconduct, paint a troubling picture for the future of the league. The cracks in the foundation are becoming impossible to ignore, and the silence from league officials only makes the situation worse. The WNBA finds itself at a critical crossroads. On one hand, the league has the potential to become a cornerstone of professional women's sports, with rising stars and growing fan interest. On the other hand, the ongoing drama, lack of accountability, and failure to handle controversy properly threaten to derail that momentum. If the WNBA is to survive and thrive, it must take a hard look at how it handles player conduct, media relations, and its internal culture. The league cannot afford to keep sweeping issues like this under the rug. It needs to hold players accountable, create a culture of professionalism, and support the media in doing its job without fear of retaliation. The time has come for the WNBA to make a choice: continue down this path of avoidance and dysfunction, or step up and set new standards that will ensure the league's long-term success. But as the WNBA's silence continues and controversies like Carrington's rise to the surface, the question remains: can the league truly learn from its mistakes? Or will it keep repeating the same patterns of denial? The stakes are high, not just for the league, but for the future of women's professional basketball as a whole. If the WNBA is going to break free from its cycle of scandals and missteps, it needs to act quickly. Until then, the drama will continue, and the league's credibility will only diminish further. The world is watching,